Well, we are back for Weekend Wellbeing once again. Karen Ferguson is here with me. I'm Nathan Thomas on Pure 24/7 Radio. Hi, Karen. How's it going?
Hi Nathan, how are you?
Very well, thanks. It's wonderful to have you on again for Weekend Wellbeing as we're looking at how we can look after our mental health. And we sort of you started a series on art and how this can help us in our wellbeing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I don't know, it'll be so exciting to hear over the course of time just how people have adopted different ideas and tried things out. Not everything's going to work for everybody, but it is that sense of just having a go, and you may discover something that you're not quite sure. So we kind of just explored last week the idea around what role art might play. There's that so much study that's gone into that fact that it has proven to really help people in their mental health and well-being. But it may have been something that was great for you, or it may not have been, but it's good to experiment. So this week we want to think about another form of creativity, which is music and the role that music can play in supporting our mental health and well-being. And one of the best websites that's out there in the public domain is the Mind website. And I love that website. It's just so full of great resources, information, wherever you are and whatever's going on. It's just a helpful resource. So I'd encourage listeners to look at Mind, who they do explore why music is great for your mental health. And I think it's one of those things that perhaps is a little bit easier for us to understand because we've perhaps experienced the emotive connection to music. We might have songs that make us cry and songs that make us happy, certain go-to songs that we enjoy. So it feels like it's less of a stretch to see the role that music can have. But it is also a proven fact that listening to music can release dopamine. And so that's part of that kind of evidence, if you like, that evidence that shows that music can have a profound effect on your mental health. Now, with that, we obviously also know that that can happen both ways. So there can be certain songs and lyrics that can be unhelpful for us, particularly if we are struggling through a period of anxiety or depression or anything like that. There is an element of just being on guard and wary of what you're listening to lyrics wise. What might that do? How might that feed your mind? But also, I think it's the movie The Holiday, where Jack Black's character talks about, I only use the happy notes in this, where he's composing something. And there is that sense on, particularly like on pianos and stuff, where they can be quite heavy and dark and depressing notes, and then there can be light and uplifting notes. So there's also something that we need to think about in the melody and in the notes and the tune that can really help our mental health and well-being. And of course, I am preaching to the converted. You guys are the experts on how to go about choosing music and what you do for the radio station, how you kind of filter what is acceptable and what does come on and stuff, and you're really there to edify people and to help them. So I guess we could use that little plug and say, if you want music to be good for your well-being, listen to Pure Radio,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
But in terms of that, I just want to take you through a little story. So recently I went to two live musical experiences, and actually they had very different impact on me. So the first one was a very low-key flamenco guitar experience, tiny little venue, very intimate. I went with my husband and one of our daughters, and it was mesmerizing. It was captivating. The passion and the technical brilliance was impressive, but the passion and the emotions that went into this hour of this little intimate concert was just incredible. And I was mesmerized. I was so attached. I felt myself go on this journey, this emotional journey of connection and beauty. And it was just mind-blowing. And I loved it. A couple of weeks later, we went to a huge like concert hall and listened to, I'm not going to name them because that's not fair, but we listened to a very famous pianist. Now, they were technically incredible, like absolutely incredible. But I didn't feel that emotional connection. It felt like they were technically delivering something of brilliance. And it wasn't that it was disappointing, but it just didn't connect in that same way, because it just felt it was all about the technical brilliance rather than that emotional connection. And I guess some of that is it's just a personal connection. Others may have been there and been absolutely blown away and mesmerized in the same way that I was for that flamenco guitarist. But there is a power in connecting with music that takes us to places, again, like we were looking at with art last week, that sometimes we're not quite sure how to connect. We know we need to engage with those emotions and those feelings, but we're not quite sure. And music is a powerful way to do that. Now, I have a bit of a go-to anthem that is a worship song that is really significant to me. And it is one of those ones that I go back to time and time again, particularly when I need reminding or when things are challenging, but also when things are great. And it's the song that's called The Goodness of God. There's a particular artist and how they do it that I love, but that is my go-to, that just reminds me, and it keeps things in perspective, that all my days he's been faithful. And there's just lyrics in there, I won't sing it, don't worry, but there are lyrics in there that are so powerful that just really are my anthem that I go to and I go back to time and time again to remind me of the power of God. And then there's another song, like The Child of God, I'm no longer a slave to fear. Now, I recently went through an experience where, the fear was so real for me. And I just remember singing this again and again and again and again, just as a kind of an act to break that fear, if you like, during the thing that was causing this fear. And so there is the power of music in that way as well, that it can break through when it doesn't feel like other things are doing. Maybe prayer doesn't feel like you're getting anywhere, but music can help. And there's something that is quite powerful sometimes in just kind of stopping and I think particularly in busyness, just being able to close your eyes and listen to some music that is going to be good for you, that is uplifting. The words might be helpful, the melody might be helpful, but music has this way of connecting us to ourselves and our emotions, allowing us to express what maybe we're struggling to express. But also, when you have a faith, it's a way to connect with God as well. And so I'd like to think about this weekend's challenge, about challenging your listeners to go, what would you like your anthem song to be, your go-to song that you can just go back to time and time again, in the good times, in the challenging times, in the times of grief, whatever it is, what could be your anthem song? You might already have it. And if you do, let us know, share it. I'm sure you can work it into a schedule and get it played if it can go through those filters for the radio station. But what is it that is your anthem song? And if you don't have one, what would you like it to be? And then perhaps have that, even if it's just for a season, to go back to a time and time again. For me, that goodness of God is my anthem song, my go-to song. What is it for you? That's your challenge this weekend.
Fantastic. That is brilliant, Karen. That anthem. I think I can think of a few songs over the years that I've played over and over again, and yeah, like you say, they've been an anthem. I mean, there's different genres for me. Some were slightly quieter, more reflective songs. But other times, I wanted something a bit more up tempo. It might be a cool rock song,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll also all of us will have a preference when it comes to genres and such. But yeah, as you say, we do need to be careful what we listen to, and obviously some things aren't very beneficial. We might not think of it much, it might be subconscious, but when we're hearing those lyrics that aren't very healthy, it can do a number on our psychological status.
Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm chuckling to myself because when you said rock song, it reminded me of my teenage years and Roxette Must Have Been Love was that kind of breakup song whenever when something didn't quite work out. And I've got that ringing around my head now. Thankfully, it's not one that I need to go back to for now. But the Goodness of God is now my anthem song rather than Roxette being my breakup song.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, and I do like Roxette, I'll be honest with you. And I
It
like
is.
a lot of artists. They all have some songs that are much, much happier, as you say, and some a bit more
Yeah.
reflective, like that one, a bit of a
Yeah.
sadder song perhaps. But
But the teenage Karen cried a few times with that one. Yeah, I can assure you.
that's fine. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for this wonderful thought, this weekend well-being, and yeah, we'd love to hear about your anthems, maybe songs that have really encouraged you at difficult times. I know for me, there's plenty that I've heard, and they just lift your spirits because, like you say, music's powerful. It affects us not just mentally, but physically and emotionally and spiritually, and it affects us in many ways. They're all interconnected parts of us, and music, as you say, can be a way of breaking through feelings or helping us to process feelings, perhaps. If it
Mm.
is a sad song, maybe you do need to listen to a sad song to help you just to, I don't know, to process that feeling,
Process
those emotions.
thing, yeah. If you want Must Have Been Love, go for it. But the other thing as well is the connection with music because
Mm,
we have some lovely go-to songs that it's full of great memories. And so sometimes when you're struggling a little bit, just to play some of those songs that remind you of good times and good things, then that can be really helpful as well. So
mm,
you don't have to limit it to one, but it's a helpful starting place to kind of go, what's going to be my anthem song?
mm. Absolutely. And thank you so much, Karen, for this week's weekend well-being. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Look forward to speaking again soon.
Fantastic. Thanks, Nathan. Bye.